So thank you, Vice Chancellor, sir, for this time.
Okay.
And we'll come to the interview, so we can begin straight away.
Okay.
So just tell us a little bit of yourself. Now, who is Professor Laban Ayiro? People know you, but they would like to know, every day.
I'm the acting Vice Chancellor, Moi University. I'm a professor of research methods. My career spans from being a high school principal, chemistry maths teacher, high school principal, a long path in the Ministry of Education, in charge of various sections, including policy and planning. And then I was at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development as Senior Deputy Director in charge of curriculum and research before I exited to come to Moi University. So basically that's where I am.
What skills or competencies have you picked, from those assignments that you've had previously, that enable you to manage such institution?
Well, I think mainly management skills. Having run one of the best schools in the country, having been a senior deputy director in the Ministry of Education Policy and Planning, having been a senior deputy director curriculum and research.
Now, what do you think is the age that you have that stands out, that makes the government the government seizing you, that little thing that makes you stand out?
I think I have a very serious sense of purpose. I'll give you an example. When I was given sunshine by the retired president, I was given 75 students from one. And we decided as a staff and under my leadership that we are going to be in the top 10 in the country on first attempt. Of course, it was unrealistic, but we worked with those students diligently, and at the end of 4 years, we were number 6 in the country. So it shows when I was in the ministry, sense of purpose. I developed the first strategic plan in the ministry under my directorate. We developed the very important document called the Kenya Education Sector Support Program that managed to win all the funding for the Free Primary Education Initiative. So I think a serious sense of purpose and a completion factor mentality, wanting to get things done, does give me an edge. Yeah, and of course God. Yeah.
Of course, God. Yeah. Okay. Now let's turn to the forthcoming graduation on Friday, the day after tomorrow. What are the numbers of candidates like?
We have this graduation of June. I'm using it to comb the students who did not graduate. So we want notice that this year we had supplementary exams to make sure that anybody who has problems of missing marks and all that, they are cleared. So it's a mopping up group, and we have about 2,200 graduating on Friday. But the major graduation will be in December. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in your view, what university programs make Moi University to stand out compared to other Kenyan universities? Of course, not forgetting that this university has had numerous of challenges, but they still stand out.
Yeah, I think first of all, what makes Moi University stand out is the human resource. You look at the professors of Moi and compare with the professors in other universities. And I'm not just engaged in wishful thinking, but given tasks, look at what we have been able to do. We have been able to do very competitive fundable proposals. Like the center, now we are the African Center of Excellence in textile and renewable energy. That was a competitive bidding of the World Bank for Africa. And we are among the 13 universities in Africa that won the award. Now that's an indicator of the kind of brains you have in this university. The Kenya government did announce the digital laptop project. It was competitively sought for by established companies. We went in a small university and we emerged the winner. And now we are supplying 26 counties with tablets. In fact, we have gone further. We have established a factory for assembling them, which His Excellency, we hope, will have time to come and commission. So, if you ask me what makes Moi University stand out, I think it's the faculty. A very highly motivated and intelligent crop of people in this university. And you can see, even in spite of the fact that we have sent faculty to all these other universities that we have created, Masinde Muliro, Masai Mara, Narok, University of Eldoret, all those were faculty of Moi. Moi still stands. So that gives you an idea of the strength of the human resource in this university. So that's one. But all our schools are strong. All our schools are strong, but some have a greater international exposure. I'm talking about the School of Medicine in Moi is outstanding. The School of Engineering has the largest number of accredited programs by the Engineers Board of Kenya. The School of Law, in spite of the few turbulent circumstances we have had in the past, again, I can name many distinguished lawyers who have come through that school. So it makes us School of Education. School of Business is the largest in the country. So yeah, we have strength across all our schools, but some have established themselves more. School of Medicine because of great works in the area of HIV/AIDS, AMPATH, and the rest. Yeah. So we are basically a great university. We spent a lot of our energies out there establishing other universities, but now our motive is to consolidate what we have, and we shall move.
No, thank you for that. Many of young people, as far as graduation is concerned, of course, at the end of the year, you find that thousands of graduates, thousands of students graduate at the end of the year, and as you know, many of them don't get street jobs immediately after graduation. What do you think is a solution for this?
Yeah, it's true. Our economy has not been able to absorb a lot of our graduates. But let me just disturb the equilibrium here. I don't think it's a matter of no jobs. It's a matter of mindset, and you know it from all our schools, be it tourism, be it engineering. A lot of our students who have changed their mindset. In fact, they are very clear when they are leaving Moi University that they are not going to be employed. They are very clear about that, and they will do anything else other than being employed. And for me, that's what we need to do, to change the mindset, because jobs are available. Jobs might not present themselves in terms of letters of appointment, but they present themselves in terms of opportunities for that particular individual who will have the insight to see that opportunity. So I keep challenging faculty in Moi that let us work on the mindset of our students, that they can actually go and become whatever God intended them to become without being employed. I think that's where we're going. Now, even if you get a job, that should just be a stepping stone. But the ideal world today is that people, this is a knowledge-based economy. So it's not about you can generate a job where you're sitting on your computer, your laptop. A lot of the proposals I do myself, I just sit on my laptop and I start doing proposals, and I search for opportunities for consultancies. Now, if I had enterprising students who would like to sit at my feet, they then get into it, and they don't have to have a job, but we do a consultancy and they get their fair share of it, and they're okay, and tomorrow they're doing something else, they're investing in something, and really that should be the thing. We, all of us, need to be entrepreneurial, Everywhere you scratch, there's an opportunity. You know, you can start as a graduate. If you start washing cars, there's something you'll add to washing cars than that person who never went to university. You'll add value. You'll add value to that process, and eventually you'll find you're no longer washing, you're actually engaging people to wash as you tap in your money. Yeah.
Now, Kenya has had, its national budget, a third of it going to education.
Yeah.
Now, do you think universities get, an adequate share of it?
No, funding to universities is a challenge. Why is it a challenge? Because the number of public universities has tripled from a mere 7 to almost 30. And the envelope, the resource envelope for the sector has remained basically the same. So we are all stretching that envelope, but it can't stretch. And this has posed many problems. That's why some of us are proposing for a Marshall Plan for universities. We either sit down as a country and say, how many universities do we really need? Like now, everybody who got C+ has been absorbed.
Sure.
And yet we have all this space in universities that used to take the PSSP. So that tells us that there's an indication that we over-created space. So maybe the government should be thinking of even amalgamating like South Africa did. So you amalgamate universities into one big university, and then it becomes financially viable, both from the exchequer funding and the revenue you collect from students, and also what you do in research and partnerships. So I think universities are struggling, not just Moi, but I know that some of them keep saying, Moi, you are better off because at least you are doing some projects. We can't. Some can't even pay salaries. Yeah.
Devolution came, and much money is going to counties. Do you see these as a threat to universities because much money now is going to the counties?
Not really. I think counties is the most fortunate thing that has happened. Just devolution. I'll give you an example. At the student center, I have decided that catering must be devolved. That I don't want people to collect money, then they bring it to the central vote, then when they need supplies, they're not getting them. And where we have devolved, things are working very well. So if you look at the bigger picture, counties, I come from Kakamega County, all our roads are being done. Look at Eldoret town today. All roads are being done. In fact, in places like Annex, they're being tarmacked.
Yeah.
That would never happen if we are not devolved. So it's not about the universities funding dwindling because of counties, but rather this is just a new scenario we need to know how to exist within it as universities. Yeah. But also we need to exploit the fact that we have a county government. So for us, Moi University, we have to be strategic in our relationship. We need to engage in memorandum of understanding in areas of planning, in areas of agriculture, in areas of medicine with the county government so that we can tap into those resources. Yeah.
Now, coming back to graduation, back in our culture, the Kenyan society, when students go to graduate, it's a celebration day. So you find out that, one student's coming from the village, for example, maybe in Nandi village, and they're escorted by numerous buses, maybe 10 buses, just one student. There is a jam, there's traffic, human traffic all over. What could be your advice, to that?
No, I think that is just we Africans. We like to celebrate. It's a huge thing, by the way. If you have a statistical mind like mine, the probability that somebody can go through the whole school system to graduate is such an improbability. That child could have dropped out, could have died, could have become a drug addict, and now God has favored him or her to graduate. I think it's time to celebrate, but as we celebrate, we need to inject some realism that things might not be as rosy, that you really now have to double. This is just the beginning. You now really have to open your mind and pick up the opportunities and face the challenges with great resilience here.
Yeah. Now let's come back to another question. Now you have been the CEO or rather the Vice Chancellor of this institution for around almost 10 months now.
Yeah.
Almost 10 months.
Yeah.
What achievements are you most proud of?
I think I don't know how to say stability. I think Moi has once again begun to believe in itself. Everybody I meet, whether it's a cleaner, whether it's a member of faculty, whether it's a student, they have some self-belief that we can actually become. That state of hopelessness is slowly going away. For me, that's the bigger thing. These other physical facilities that are coming up, like the perimeter fencing of the wall, the floodlights, the amphitheater, the lecture halls, or now the School of Law library is just about to be complete. They are just a bonus, but they are sitting on a platform where people now have a sense of ownership of the university. That has not been easy. It has taken a huge cultural change, and we thank God to the government. We thank God to the leadership of this country. They have been very sympathetic and empathic to Moi University. And we thank God for the good health, because also coming here every morning at 6 and going back at 7 or 8 every night, and running around in meetings and everywhere has been a challenge, but God has seen us through. So we are now a very determined university. Determined in every aspect to give quality to what we do. Even if it is cleaning toilets, we want them clean. You know that now we are going to start, now that students are away, we have already tendered, opening the tenders. They are starting the renovation of the hostels. When students come back, they find very pleasant places to stay. So that is determination. Again, we have just opened the bids for the amphitheater, 6,000 capacity. So in future, we don't have to sit at the graduation square. We'll sit in the amphitheater, and everybody will be seated. All our exams where we have had congestion in examination rooms and so on will be a thing of the past, because 6,000, all schools can bring their students there for a given exam or exams at a particular time. So we are determined to succeed, and we continue urging all of us, including the community, to believe in the university. That for me is the biggest achievement. Yeah.
Now, the amphitheater, when do you see it starting, the construction?
I think, we have the money. The government has given us the first phase of the funding. So we have the money. My problem is procurement. And I can't do anything. The procurement process is tedious, is cumbersome. And we hope that now we have opened, we are getting a consortium of architects, quantity surveyors and so on to give us the costings and the drawings. And then we tender. That tendering just takes 14 days, you'll award, and we get. By the way, if all goes well, barring for any litigations, I think by August, construction will have begun. Yeah. And that's a huge project for the university.
Now, according to you, what is your vision of Moi University of the future?
I think every time I look at Moi, I don't want to use the word world class, but the Moi of the future is a university that will only accept the best in terms of students, in terms of faculty. In fact, I envisage a Moi University where professors will be searched for globally to come and man the faculties. I also envisage a Moi University where we shall have more postgraduate students than undergraduate, because we owe it to this country. We can't be doing the same things that the younger universities are doing. We are supposed to supply them with the human resource. So we are going to turn the narrative and expand the postgraduate. That's why we are starting, boldly starting a very strong school of postgraduate. Now, one school in charge of postgraduate programs in the university. Because we think we need to get into that area and research. So that's the university I'm seeing. A university with a different orientation, but a university that will have set a very high pedestal for itself. Yeah.
Now, as we're in the middle of election campaigns, the university-related agendas, do you want the government to dedicate itself to achieving? What agendas?
I think number one, education. Number two, education. Number three, education. Yes, Malaysia, South Korea, China. Do you know the China Revolution started when the Chinese government decided to build 100 research universities across China at a go, 100, and they got the best faculty from America, and that transformed. Malaysia was the same story. So it's about education, education, education. In fact, I want us to remove this tag of free, because it kills the motivation. So it's not about free. The government will fund. So it's not free. It's still the taxpayers' money, but the government will fund education with the sole purpose of providing quality education to every Kenyan citizen, every Kenyan child from ECD up to university. Yes. I think if we invest in education, we'll turn around this. And you ask yourself, who's done the SGR? The Chinese. Yes. Even the workers, they're the Chinese. So the net profit of SGR for us will come many years down the line. But the Chinese have already reaped the profits. Why? Because they decided to produce, they just purpose to produce 3 times the number of engineers America is producing. That was their target. Ethiopia is doing the same now. Ethiopia, while Kenya generates about 1,000 engineers every year, Ethiopia is producing 6,000. What will happen to Ethiopia in the coming 5 years? It will be totally different. Already the economy is much, much larger than ours. So it's about education. And then all these other things will fall in place. Yes. And when we have an overflow of engineers, doctors, lawyers, the world wants them. They'll go and they'll bring investments back home. And that will support our economy.
And maybe lastly, your last word to the graduating cohort, as a sign of a driver, as a prof, as a professor, as a university vice chancellor.
Yeah, I don't want to say my message for Friday, but I want these young men and women to be bold as they go out and shield themselves with the Spirit of God. Yeah. Submit themselves to God, but be bold. Be bold. If it takes me to go to the shamba, I will do it. If it means I drive a matatu, I will do it. I want to be bold, but my education will make me different from all other people surrounding me. So that's my wish for them. Put God at the center, but be bold. Bold means many things. Be willing to sacrifice, be willing to take on challenges, be willing to fall and rise again. That's boldness. I am sure they will succeed in life. Yeah. And by the way, note that once you have a degree, I tell people, once you have a degree, it is just a matter of time. You'll get a job, or you will be doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vice Chancellor, sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you.